Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game Center Live, the weekly live stream talk show from the NYU Game Center. It's good to see you all on this lovely Tuesday, March 29th, 2022. Today, we've got a real treat of a show planned for you. First off, MFA students DH and Beau will be taking part in the micro game Jam. They will be challenged to participate, or they were challenged to participate, by the previous contestants of the Game Jam, and will have the duration of this stream to create a game based off of items they pull from a hat. Afterward, you will meet Ethan Zarov, the creator of Letter Lattice, which was a finalist for the IGF Award for Best Student Game. He will be interviewed by faculty member Shawn Pierre. Then, Adjunct instructor Danny Hawk and MFA Moochi will be introducing a brand new segment called My Library 5. Danny and Moochi peruse the Game Center library's enormous collection and each picked 5 games that resonate with them, and they'll be discussing their choices together on stream. Finally, we will close out the stream with an update on how DH and Beau fared with the micro game Jam. I see them just off camera now. They're very excited. But first, we have some announcements. Playtest Thursday happens every Thursday, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. Get feedback on your work-in-progress games in person and only open to NYU students. If you're not an NYU student and would like to try a remote playtest, head to our Discord for more information. Press Play Saturdays from 1 to 3 p.m. Head to the NYU Game Center Open Library to play and discuss a game from the library's collection. This Saturday's game is the board game Wavelength. Career and Internship Info Session with DOTS, Wednesday, March 30th at 11 a.m. on Zoom. That's tomorrow. Local NYC studio DOTS has job openings for Unity engineers. Manager of Mobile Engineering, Kirsten Sugar, will be here to give a brief overview of working at DOTS and do one-on-one meetings to answer your questions about the positions. NYU students only, RSVP at the link in chat. NYU Game Center Lecture Series presents Shawn Pierre, Thursday, April 7th at 7 p.m. in the 12th floor lecture hall. The newest addition to the NYU Game Center faculty, Shawn Pierre, is giving his lecture series talk. Shawn's been a pillar of the Philadelphia game community for years, as both a prolific game designer as well as a community organizer, and this will be a fantastic opportunity to dive more into his approach to making games, happening in person and live streaming right here on this channel. And you'll be seeing him later today on the stream. And a few program announcements here. If you are an NYU Game Center student who's interested in helping organize, design, and curate the NYU Game Center Showcase 2022, be sure to come to the first Showcase Committee meeting this Thursday, March 31st at 11 a.m. in the large conference room. Join GC Showcase 22 on Slack for more info. The fall 2022 schedule is live. If you want to learn more about the NYU Game Center's fall class offerings, next week, come to Class Pitches, Tuesday, April 5th at 11:30 a.m. in the co-working lab. Faculty will be giving brief descriptions of their classes. And finally, our website, gamecenter.nyu.edu, is currently down. We're aware of the problem and working to fix it. In the meantime, use nyugamecenter.info or tish.nyu.edu/gamecenter. All right, and that's it for announcements, which means, without further ado, it's time to introduce DH and Beau with the Micro Game Jam. Welcome to the stream, DH and Beau. All right, so I explained the rules to you before this stream. I will explain them once again for everybody live on Twitch. You, in front of you, have the fedora of possibilities. If you could, right now, rifle through this hat and pick out 3 items and read off the items that you get.
All right, our first item is fake money.
All right, we got fake money.
Fake money. Our second item is cloth bags.
All right, we got cloth bags.
Cloth bags. And last, we got cards. Playing cards, loose.
Loose playing cards. All right. So now you can both take off to behind the set here to the prototype carts and begin making your game. We'll be excited to see you in about 40 minutes for the conclusion of the game jam. All right, and while they're working away, let's get our next guests on the stream. Please welcome to the stream Shawn Pierre and Ethan Zarov. Bear with us while we get set up. Count you down. All right, yeah, once again, please welcome to the stream Shawn Pierre and Ethan Zarov. Take it away.
All right, hey everybody, I'm Shawn, and
I'm Ethan.
Ethan is the creator of Letter Lattice, right?
Yeah.
And you showcased it at the GDC show floor, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually saw you there too. You were.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah. So, tell me about the show floor. How did it go overall?
Yeah, it was a really cool experience. I went into it really having no idea what to expect. I talked with a lot of professors and got a lot of really great advice in terms of how to make the most of GDC. And in terms of the show floor, I think that part was something that I just didn't fully know how to prepare for, just because I didn't know, what types of people I'd run into. And overall, the whole IGF pavilion and the GDC floor was a really, really cool experience. I met a lot of really cool developers at companies that I'd be looking to work for or who have played their games. So it was a really great experience just to see all these other people doing stuff. Very motivating.
Really? So was it your first time showcasing your game in a setting like this, or a game in a setting like this?
Yeah, both. So I never had any experience with the showcasing side of things. So beforehand, I sort of prepared a demo and that sort of thing to try to test it and make sure that it was set up and perfect for the actual GDC IGF pavilion.
Okay, then how was this showcasing different from something like a Playtest Thursday or end of the year showcase?
It felt a lot different, mainly just because every single every person there was kind of expecting it to be a final product or to be polished. And all the other games around me were obviously I was for best student game, but most of the other games were there with their unpacking and inscription and all these games that are wildly successful on Steam right now. And so it was a little bit of pressure at first, just making sure it wouldn't crash and making sure of all those things. But it ran smoothly for the whole time, which was a plus.
Right. So then how was watching people play? I mean, you said you were nervous about it crashing, but when you watch people, was there any sort of, oh my gosh, I hope nothing goes wrong, I hope they're liking it? Are they smiling? Are they laughing? Are they crying?
Mm-hmm. So Letter Lattice, it's a word game. So it was kind of helpful for me to sort of distance myself from typical playtesting when it comes to an action game or a puzzle game where people just it's common for people to just not get it or not enjoy it. And I think when that happened, I was able to get a little less discouraged than I typically would in some playtests, just because obviously with word games, like some people just, it's not their thing. And I think they're very divisive in that way. And so it was cool to see that in the first 15 seconds, I could kind of tell whether it would resonate with a person or not. And so every once in a while, you get a playtester who would just come back every day and play for 15 or 30 minutes at a time.
Yeah. Nice. So then actually, can we go through some of your games?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about it.
So this is the main menu. I'll pull up the puzzle. I'll actually pull up what I pull up every time for the playtesters there at first, because I found that was the most helpful. So this is a typical letter lattice puzzle. The way it works is you're trying to get from the top word, so the red letters, to the bottom word by switching one letter at a time. So for example, in the first row, you'd be typing a word that's one letter different than the word above it. So it'd be 2 red letters and 1 blue. So in this case, it would be like boy. And then from there, you're switching one more letter to complete the puzzle, and you can kind of see the gradient of 3, 2, 1, 0 red letters and 0, 1, 2, 3 blue letters.
Oh, wonderful. That's actually like really, really neat. So how did this idea come to be?
It started as basically me playing it a ton on the subway. So just going to the Game Center every day. I usually would play crosswords, and then when I'd get finished with that, I would sort of just like sketch around on paper, and sometimes it would be sketching around like game ideas, just because at the time I think I was in Pixel Prototype and a handful of like prototyping classes. And I think this idea came about and really just sparked my imagination. It sort of coincided with a lot of classes that needed work. So for example, the logo for this game was Intro to Visual Communication. And there was a lot of different like design systems and stuff that were designed for various classes. So it kind of just like naturally and organically grew into this bigger and bigger project until it ended up where it is today.
So then this was how long in development?
I think I released it last July, and I feel like it officially started developing like about 1.5 years or a year before that. So yeah, that was about how long the development took. But I mean, like there was little scraps and things that occurred before it, like developing the logo was like a really first step for some reason, and it like obviously evolved over time as the game name changed and that sort of thing.
Oh, what were some other game names?
It started as Word Splice, because I think that's how I saw the mechanic of switching the letters, is like splicing in new letters. But as I sort of like played more of it, it was unintuitive, that word. I think it wasn't too common enough. And on top of that, there was just like, it was just a lot of confusion. And then from there, I think it switched to Letter Lattice, which was like for most of the development. And then Letter Lattice was sort of a last minute switch when I found that Letter Lattice was taken on the App Store. So I just figured I'd keep it as similar as possible. And I kind of got the double T's in the line, which was kind of a cool bonus.
That's really, really cool. Yeah, let's see some more puzzles. Actually, I have a question about the puzzles.
Yeah.
So how are the puzzles generated? I mean, it looks like you need to put a lot of thought and time into each puzzle, making sure it's interesting or fun or something that's not really just too obtuse.
Yeah, so a lot of the puzzles, they're sort of split into 2 categories. So there's this first type of category, which has mostly to do with related words. So for example, like soft beer is like a common thing. If I go back to like the list of puzzles,
what is soft beer?
Like softer beer, I guess. Okay. I don't know. These are more examples that are like clearer. So sidewalk, deli shop, overpass, etc.
Yeah, I thought that was really, really neat. That it's like a theme for each one.
Yeah, and so these ones are more developed based off of just like trying to find related words, and I really like the idea that like you're sort of like seeing metaphorically how these words might relate to each other. But then there's like another group of puzzles that are sort of like the bigger ones that don't have as much to do, like the related words aren't as there just because they're so difficult. And those were done through like creating a little puzzle algorithm generation thing.
Okay.
Where it was just making sure that there were enough possibilities, because each puzzle can have many, many solutions. I believe for 7-letter puzzles, there's like 25 million permutations of ways to switch things. Wow. So it was like, obviously I'm not going to be checking those by hand. So it was mainly just like making sure that there were enough solutions to go down the puzzle. And from that, I actually got this like cool hint system, which like is basically reverse engineering the puzzle system to like give you a hint for what to type next.
Right, yeah, because actually with the first puzzle we didn't see it, but you actually you can change the position of letters too,
correct,
right? Yeah, so we can see the end from morning. From the 4th spot, now it's in the 2nd spot. So, okay, that's really, really great. And I guess How long did it take you to do the handcrafted puzzles though, like individually? How long would each of those take on average?
So the handcrafted varied. I had a lot of help with like APIs and different things. So there's this really cool website called like onelook.com, I believe. And they do sort of like a dictionary synonym thing, but they also have like a cool keyword thing that's about like related words. So for example, if I just typed side, it's like looking at like I think the Google bigrams and all the different things to like detect what words appear near side the most often. And it's essentially like logging all of those, and from there's some like specific requirements for these puzzles. Like for instance, no letters in the red word can appear in the blue word. And so it's just checking to make sure that those things are possible. And finally, it runs through the whole algorithm to see how difficult it might be. And from there, it's like good, and then I can sort of organize them and rank them how I want.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So actually, let's go back to the IGF. Was that always part of the plan, or do you think that you thought, okay, sure, why not? I'll just do IGF one day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't remember what prompted, like where I saw the advertisement for it or whatever, since I think it was just like, I really don't know, because I think I saw like maybe a student at the Game Center maybe was saying they were considering posting their stuff to IGF, and I was like, oh, that sounds like might as well at this point. I submitted it like 4 or 5 months after its initial release as sort of like like this could happen maybe. And yeah, it was actually Gabe Casillo, who's like the Project Studio old faculty here, who like mentored this project. He was like the first one to like inform me that it happened. So it was like a big surprise. Like I was not expecting it at all to happen. And yeah, it's really just like the only award ceremony thing I ever submitted this to, and it's kind of in on a crapshoot. So
nice.
I feel lucky to be here.
Did you bring it to Playtest Thursday?
Yeah, I brought it to Playtest Thursdays a lot. It was all virtual at that point mostly, but the virtual playtesting was really funny to see because this game, a lot of the iteration came with the tutorial and this animation, if I can make it cycle again, where it does the like snap, switches the letter, and then drops it down a row. That was something that was like iterated on for like weeks and weeks, just because I found that people, the mechanic is like, it's intuitive once you get to play it enough, but I don't think it's like as instinctively intuitive as some game mechanics might be. So it took a little time to just like get that feeling right. And making it understandable to the most amount of people as I could.
Okay, so you would say that Playtest Thursday was extremely helpful in terms of developing this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
So you heard it here. Go to Playtest Thursday, and your game can
looking
be
for.
in the IGF. I'm not saying it will happen, but you know.
No, you're saying it will happen.
Yeah, I'm saying it's guaranteed. No, no, it's not a guarantee. Don't. Anyway, okay, great. So actually, you mentioned a bunch of other games at the IGF. What do you think was your favorite game other than yours?
I'm going to shout out Space Hole 2020. It was like nominated for this Nuovo award. For like the Nuovo award, for anyone who doesn't know, at the IGF is like games that aren't traditional by any means. They're very like weird and sort of like experimental. And he was at my IGF booth. He was like the guy on the back side of it. So he was like my neighbor, and he was just there the whole time. There were a lot of IGF nominees who weren't necessarily at their booths the whole time and exploring, and he was just sort of there demoing his game while I was demoing my game the whole time, and he's super sweet, and it's a really fun game to just like relax to. If you're a developer, it's also fun to try to like figure out how he's doing all the things he's doing, because it's super weird, super bizarre. Yeah, I'm just gonna highly recommend that because it's very underrated, very underseen.
What's
very
the name
fun.
of it again?
Space Hole 2020.
Space Hole 2020.
There's also a 2016 and 2018, I believe. So lots of content to go through.
Actually, speaking of content, I did see that there was an update not too long after IGF for your game. Are there any other planned updates, or what do you think you have planned for the future?
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I was to do more updates, they'd mostly be like content update, like in terms of more puzzles and stuff like that. The last couple updates have been things like more hints, better iPad support, like optimization stuff. So most of the like general like architectural and like feature-based things. And I think from here on out, I'd mostly be looking at like puzzles and things that just like extend the playtime. But yeah, I mean, I don't have too many plans right now as I'm sort of like transitioning back into like going to like finding careers, finding capstone, etc. You know.
Capstone, yeah.
Yeah, capstone.
Sounds like a good class.
Yeah, the advisors are cool too.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's my advisor.
So then, throughout the development, I'm sure, I mean, it happened over several years, and you're in school, you're learning a bunch of things. So what do you think this game taught you about yourself and development and how you go about creating your work?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that it was really hard to like finish games, like in general. And I think like this was like a really, really good learning experience of just like that like back 10%. I think there's like, I don't remember the exact saying, but it's like the whole like the last 10% of your game is the last 90%, or something like that. And that definitely rings true here. And like I think it was just really good to sort of have to experience like a year and a half long project like that, which Capstone also does for you at NYU, which is good. Just because it taught me so much of the like, oh, this end part that you always just kind of like, oh, I can do it later, or I can like abandon it after a game jam or whatnot. Isn't something you can do when you're playing a release. So it really taught me a lot of that like just functionality that you take for granted in major releases that you kind of like have to like really consider and think about when you're like doing a large scale game.
So then what do you think you have planned? Do you think you'll work on this for a bit longer, or do you think you'll move on to something else new?
I'm really excited to start working on new things. I think like the development and the updates have been really like small, sort of like every once in a while I'll spend a week or two to make a new one, if I like get like bug reports or whatnot. But yeah, I think for now I'm kind of like focused on school projects as well as like future projects in the summer and that sort of thing.
Actually, speaking of like bug reports and feedback, what do you think the best piece of what was the best reaction you think you got at IGF?
At IGF,
yeah.
That's a great question. I don't know. I think like there were a lot of people that came back every day just to play, and they were always like, I need something harder, I want to try the new thing. And it was cool because like there's a lot of like clue puzzles and various things in Letter Lattice that were really hard to just showcase immediately at IGF, so it was fun to like feel like I had this like endless like array of things to just sort of like be like, here's a new thing to show you. And so it was like really cool to like have like one or two like mega fans that would come back, because I feel like this game always has been like a passion project for myself. So it's like I would like it, like my ideal situation for this game would to have like 3, maybe 4 like cult people playing it. I don't need like that many, just like 3 that are just like obsessed with the game.
And send you a message every day.
Yeah, like that's basically what I want from it.
Play the game.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Actually, we should
That
go
sounds
through
like a
it some
great
more.
idea.
How much more time do we have?
I'll set you up with an easier puzzle.
Yeah, I think I've got up to 5.
Okay, yeah. No, I mean, you feel free to pick.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's talk us through some of the game as we're
Sure.
going through it. Okay,
It's difficult to play and speak.
All right. What else? Okay. So this is one of the handcrafted ones, right?
I actually, to be honest, I don't remember exactly the relationship between want and else. Sometimes, like some of the puzzles are, I think maybe this one specifically, like was the first one, for a specific reason. I think it might have been. There are a couple puzzles that are like the first in a pack, with the reason being that like I want to teach the player certain things. So, for example, the idea that you can like rearrange letters. There's a few puzzles in the 3-letter packs that like explicitly require that. And like there's a few puzzles in the 4, for example, I think that like are really trying to teach you like how to sort of like work around certain words. So like, for example, some places I found like are like harder for people to discover the words for until they get other words. So specifically, maybe it's not this puzzle, but there's some puzzles where it's like it gives you a pop-up if it's your first time playing through that puzzle that's like, hey, by the way, you don't have to start at the first word. You're able to start at other words and work around it. And that's like sometimes a good strategy for dealing with larger puzzles, when you can like see a word that like uses some amount of letters and will fit in some row, but you just don't know how to like connect it to the rest of the game.
So in terms of finding words and choosing words, I know there's a little pop-up when you get a word that's considered rare. Rare. Like what's the criteria for a rare word?
Yeah. Well, so the rare words came about because in the 6-7 letter puzzles that I play, I was finding that like there just wasn't enough fanfare for it, and I really wanted it to just be like I would find like some really weird like cartels or some cool like some word I thought was cool, and I wanted to be rewarded for it. And so I sort of like spent a decent amount of time thinking about like what constitutes an interesting word. And a lot of it in this game has to do with like it being some interesting rearrangement of what was previously before it. So for example, like ing, ed, er, those sorts of like suffixes are just incredibly common and useful in this game. And so if like you find a word that doesn't involve one of those suffixes, that's prioritized as higher rare.
Okay.
But I also do have a dictionary in the back that has like a ranking of commonness of words. So it also looks at that to be like, oh, hey, like that word doesn't appear very often in English. That's rare.
So then what's the rarest word you think you have gotten in one of your game?
I think gamer's a rare word. No, I don't know. I think gamer was originally not in the dictionary, so I added it and made it rare. And then, I can't think of like a specific one. I've like every once in a while screenshot a puzzle. At this point now, mostly the ones that I find like rare are like when I feel like the puzzle had a really interesting solution. Like there was one I think where it was like it went like semantic and then like, miscast or something. It was just like a really weird string of like very like different looking words, and that always feels cool to me.
So then, do you think that you would be adding additional words over time, or do you think you're set with this library of words?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how often that is. Yeah, I guess like the problem with the dictionary is like I don't have a ton of experience in terms of like figuring out like word curation. And so every once in a while, like when I've like play the game and I notice a word doesn't exist, I'll like take a note of it so that next update or next fix I'll put it in. But as far as like actual words go, like I think maybe sus like sus is like that's the most recent example I can think of maybe a word that would be like added to the dictionary now.
Yeah.
If it isn't already. And like maybe I'd consider putting that in if I like ever remember to, but I think it's not like a high priority just because there's always options.
So then, on the flip side, then, do you ever run into the issue where, or has anyone ever said to you, "Hey, this word is a real word, but it's not here. I want this word in here. You caused me to lose the game. I'm angry." Well, no, I'm hoping being angry, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's rarer than not. Because so, for example, when I just played POC, which, if I'm being honest, I have no idea what that means. But it's in the dictionary, and so a lot of the time, I've like, I err on the side of like making sure it's doable for players, and like if someone, let's say POC is like a medical term that I'm just not aware of, or like some economics word, I don't know what it is. If someone who's like a doctor is like, oh, I know this really cool jargon word that is mine, I don't want to like feel like they're getting cheated out of something and mad. So I've like usually erred on the side of like keeping the dictionary broad, including British variations, things like that, so that everybody kind of feels like they're like able to like express themselves in these puzzles, because there's so many solutions that you kind of can do that. So yeah, I don't think I've ever had someone say I don't get this word, except maybe it was gamer during like virtual playtests. I think that's maybe how that came into existence.
No, they just want to feel represented.
Yeah,
gamers need to be represented more, right?
Exactly.
Okay, I guess one more question about the IGF, or just the general GDC in general. That there's the awards show, right? On Wednesdays. How was the awards show and being, I guess, in the special area with all the other nominees?
Yeah, it was really like very surreal. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Like it was very, very like fancy, and like I felt like I was like grateful to be there, and like felt very lucky. I don't know. It was a really weird, once in a lifetime sort of experience. It was just really cool just to sit with all the other developers, though, because it was like I got to meet. I think it was Behind the Frame, which is like another one of the people at IGF, and they were all at the table, and they were just sort of talking about their whole like dev life cycle and like what it took for them to make the game. And I don't know, just like that, it was a good summation of like sort of the whole IGF experience, which is just sort of this feeling that like, oh, there's like a lot of other developers all around us and just like working on really cool things while you're doing things. So I mean, just in general, it's like a really, like that experience was like sort of something I like had to sit in. Like after the award ceremony was over, I was just like, wait, I just need to like stare at everything I just like looked at for like 5 minutes more, and then we can leave, because it was just like a lot to like compress into my brain.
Hey, that's excellent. So,
sorry, yeah. 1 second. I actually have a question from chat.
Sure. Chat question.
1 second, let me find it. So, Groggy Dog asks, how did you approach making the algorithm to create puzzles, and was that something you had experience with?
Yeah, I didn't have any like experience with like I mean, I've done like some algorithmic stuff before, but I'm like definitely when I get into like the comp sci department, I kind of feel a little bit out of my league there because everybody else there is just so like optimized in terms of like how they code and everything like that. The way it works is essentially like it's sort of using prefix tries in like a different format. So it's using it's basically looking at like let's in this puzzle speed to train. It's looking at every single way you can add a blue letter and remove a red letter in that first row, and basically does that for every row. And so it gets every permutation of like zigzags down the puzzle if you think about like all the like tree branches going out. And then it essentially calculates like which paths actually work. So if there's like a path that just doesn't have a word like Rayton or whatever, then it'll be like that's not a word. And yeah, that's not a word. And so it'll like it'll tell you like that is like a dead branch. And basically the way difficulty in these puzzles is determined is it looks at how many total branches there could or like total paths there could be, and how many of those paths like are still alive after you try anagramming all the words. And there's also some other things like S's make puzzles easier because you can just, this is like a 4-letter puzzle if you want it to be by just adding S at the back of every word. And things like that that you can do to make, just to make the puzzles like a little bit more correct in terms of what their actual difficulty levels is.
Excellent. Do we have any more user chats? Okay.
Awesome.
All right. I guess are there any final things you want to say about the game, about IGF, about GDC in general?
I mean, I think you asked a great question. I think like mostly that covered it. It was a really cool experience. In terms of like other Game Center kids, I saw a lot of like other Game Center students and colleagues there. That was really awesome. It was just a really cool like community experience. So like if ever you go to GDC, like highly recommend the IGF Pavilion at the expo floor. Definitely like the coolest part of the expo floor. I got free socks in other places, but definitely the most fun to hang out in. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to interview. And I guess we'll moving on to the next segment.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you both so much for coming by. That's great. Remind me again where you can find the game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you can download Letter Lattice for free on the App Store right now. It's also letter-lattice.com. Is another place you can check out more info and whatnot.
Awesome. Well, thanks again so much for coming by the stream. That was, Ethan Zarov and Shawn Pierre. What a wonderful showcase. All right, bear with us. We're going to set up for our next segment, which is our brand new segment, My Library 5, with Danny Hawk and Moochi. Stay tuned. All right. Thanks for bearing with us with that brief break while we got set up. Please welcome to the stream, Danny and Moochi. Take it away.
Hello. Hi. I'm Danny Hawk.
I'm Moochi.
And I guess we're here with our Library 5, our Game Center Library 5. I don't know about you. I didn't just pick my 5 favorite games in the library because that'd probably be boring. I grew up playing games, so I don't want to just be like, oh, check it out, this indie hit Skyrim and stuff like that. So I definitely, moving around here, the library for me has always been a place to walk in and just, like, I look at the bookshelf, like I look at like an actual like academic library bookshelf, not bookshelf, the game shelf, I guess, and just pull something and play it.
Yeah, it's always fascinating when I come with you here and you just like pull out random stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's always with you that you're just like, oh yeah, we should try this. And I never played it. Yeah, I picked the favorite games that I played at the library. Not even my favorites. I picked games. There was like my final one was really hard to just be like, just pick a game that I currently like. Last game I thought about a lot, even though I
Okay.
don't like it.
Okay. So a little rhyme, a little reason,
Yeah,
but maybe
yeah.
not too much. Nice. Okay. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure. Let me go first. Let me go with my my number one. Like this is actually my favorite game. The game you should play here. Is it here? Where is it? This is an obvious choice, I guess. It's WarioWare, Smooth Moves. Should I show it like the
Obvious?
disc? Is it obvious, right? It's very obvious, right? For me, I don't know. If you know me,
Okay.
if you know, this game, I don't know, it's just everyone. I think, like, it's a game that it's rare to find a Wii nowadays, so like coming on the library, I feel like the Wii is one of the better, like the most unique consoles to play here. Because a lot of stuff can be emulated, but not really a Wii.
Mm-hmm.
And this game in particular, like I love minigame collections, but like WarioWare has this thing that is Smooth Moves in particular has this thing that is about the Wiimote so much more than every other WarioWare is about. Like all the other WarioWares are more about like playing games, and Smooth Moves is like, oh, you have this Wiimote, and we're gonna call it the form baton, and we're gonna make like you hold the Wiimote in funny ways, depending on the mini game you're playing. So like you could like be instrumental and play it always with the same way of holding it, but like the game has this like funny moment where like the elephant, you should hold the controller like an elephant, and you put the controller in your nose. And like that moment that's on the screen right now, and it's a really like gentle voice saying that out loud, and like you should hold and it's very good. Like this brought the game up so much for me.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I've only played the DS WarioWare,
Play this.
and so I guess the Smooth Moves one. I don't know. It seems maybe the canonical choice.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess up first from me, I'm gonna pull up Pit. Pit is, I think. So the story behind this, I guess, in the context of the library, is that a few weeks into being like starting my grad degree here, we played Pit as a group, and we were louder shouting than the entire Killer Queen tournament actively happening around the corner. And they all like kind of came over and they're like, what's going on here? And we're like, oh, well, you see, we're playing Pit with Bell. And Pit is it's a game that was, I think, is very old. I think created just as like a representation of stock market trading, hence the name Pit. But for me, it's so much more like, I think, like elegance in games, especially like board games, and especially just in culture, talking about like Go and, you know, like very simple rules, very complex outcome is pretty overdone, I guess, in terms of strategy. But Pit does that with like social aspects of it, because it's a very, very, very simple, straightforward like card trading game, like simpler rules than you could possibly imagine. That's a lie. You can imagine them, but when you play it, then you just end up shouting. You end up having your own culture around it. You end up like really with no rules. You experience like the emotions of it, which is, I think, fantastic. It's one of my friends. It's like the only board game he likes, or card game.
Can you open it up? Can I?
Oh yeah, ding the bell. Yeah, nice. We should ding when we're done with each game. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'd love to play this later.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with social as well. The next one. This is a game that, this is one of the most surprising games I played recently here. I don't know if you've seen this. This is called Inhuman Conditions.
Okay.
It's kind of like, it's in a very weird position of what kind of game it is. It's like it's definitely a board game, but it's also, if you can open it, but it's also an RPG. It takes 5 minutes, and you're playing like the Void Kampf test thing from Blade Runner. So one person is an android, and one person is the detective, and the detective is playing a very bureaucratic role. They're just asking some questions. And the robot is more of a the more role-playing character. The robot gets like a role, like the butcher or something like this. And they have the thing is that the person that is playing the suspect can either be a robot or not, and the interrogator is trying to figure that out. But and the robot can't say specific things about, like, there's a rule of how the robot can answer questions. So you can't talk in the past. You can't answer anything in the past. However, the most interesting thing about this game is that there's like another rule that is like a check thing that is like, say 3 words beginning with consecutive letters of the alphabet. So if at any moment the robot wants to break their personal rule, like saying things of the past, they can later do this and say 3 words in the rule. So it becomes like the robot can lie at will, cannot follow their rule at will, as long as they're doing this and acting robot-like. So it's a very interesting dynamic where like the detective mostly doesn't care about what the robot is saying and is trying to like notice this weird robot-like behavior. And the robot is trying to like find ways to answer the question without lying, so to not act robot-like, but also find ways to like pretend otherwise, like pretend in a different way that what they're saying. It's very hard to, like, I was trying to fit 3 words in a row right now and I couldn't. And it's like
listening for it.
And it's just like very interesting, like brain feel to be doing it. And it's like, it's all trust. Like, it's all trusting that the robot player will be doing it. Like, because there's no way to know that the robot lied and that the robot followed the rule. So it's like, it walks on this edge that I really think there's like an incredible design space that is like, trust the players to play the game and let it happen. Which is amazing. It's
self-policing in board games. Nice.
Yes.
I'm super excited. I definitely want to play that. My next choice here, and I learned an amazing fact about it today, is a Subbuteo. And I did Wikipedia up the pronunciation because I don't know how you would say Subbuteo. But this game is, I found out today, originally they wanted to name it Hobby, and that would just be the entire name, and then they applied for a trademark for Hobby, and they couldn't get it because that's a pretty normal word that you need to use. But what it is it's just a big felt map that you need to put on like a large table, and then you're just playing soccer with these small little figurines with like smooth bottoms. And what's super interesting about it is that it is trying to just represent like soccer as best as it could. So you played in real time. You had played in like 10-minute halves. You're flicking the pieces around to hit a soccer ball. Just and like there's a goal that you hit into. There's like a little goalie handle you can move around. But it operates in kind of like the folk game Ninja rules, where the defense gets to flick just the moment that the offense flicks, and you're kind of both just like maneuvering and fastly playing, and then there's like fouls you can call out, and if it goes out of bounds, you throw it in, and you're just I found it very, very interesting in that it's like, it positions itself as this, I think, like very like involved hobby that a lot of people like really like get very into, and like, I don't know, like it dive into like very like involves strategy, but it plays as just like a very messy kind of like sport, like, backyard, like, folk game type thing. And this is definitely like, I'd say one of the first games that I played and in the library where I was just like, what's this? And I pulled it out and played it, and I was like, oh, it's good.
So I found this randomly. You didn't like hear about it, because I played it because you told me to play it. Yeah, it's very good. I also saw TikTok earlier today about this. I did too. And I was like, I'm going to send this to Danny. And
everybody in the comments are dunking on it. They're like, oh, wow, most boring game ever. Yeah, anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Let's just go. So my next game is going to be. Let's go board game. It's not that. This is just so we can move to video games later. This is. I wouldn't say I love this game first, but it's an interesting one, and I'm currently making a project with it. So the prompt was like games that you're currently checking out at the library, and this is the game that I've been thinking the past 2 weeks. So this is basically a deck builder like Dominion, but it's about player interaction way more. So it's a fighting game. It has this line in the rulebook that is very Me. It's a card game played with chips instead of cards that simulates a puzzle game that doesn't exist, that simulates a fighting game that also doesn't exist. It's a very exciting, friend would say, Moochi bait. It doesn't deliver on this promise. But the cool thing this game does is that instead of having a deck, it has a little bag, and it streamlines the process of reshuffling a lot. So just put stuff in the bag, shuffle, get 5.
Yeah.
And just like the thing we've decided to do, that we have to make a mod for this game for a class, and we realized that like they do the bag is just like a nice like design choice. Like, oh, we made the process easier, but they don't really use any like new stuff that you get from that. So we decided to make a real-time game, so like maybe inspired by Subuto or something.
Okay, yeah.
Or other games that are real-time, so they'll just like grab chips from the bag and play as fast as you can. It's been pretty exciting. And yeah, Puzzle Strike. I just recommend if you enjoy deck builders. It has some interesting ideas. It tries being like fighting game, Yomi. You're trying to think what the other player is doing way more than you would in a Dominion.
Yeah.
But also try playing it real time and figure out your own rules, which has been pretty fun.
Yeah. It reminds me of Quacks of Quedlinburg, which is also a bag-based deck building. But the bags are small enough to really cramp up my hands.
Our game jammers are currently making a game with cloth bags.
Nice, perfect.
Yeah, cloth bags, very good mechanic. The object.
I guess my next selection here is the Mad Magazine game from Parker Brothers. And this is a game that I think in good in the theming for how I've picked my selections, I've not played it. It is simply a game that I've idolized from the shelf, from like looking at it, being like, oh, there's going to be a day where I'm going to be able to play the Mad Magazine board game. It's a Monopoly clone. I think the antique section of the board game collection here is really interesting because they didn't have as many games in the past, so a lot of the games are just like actively worse. It's why Checkers was around for so long. But the Mad Magazine game is just a Monopoly parody, and with like funny, interesting rules for it or something. There's a card that's just the card says this card can only be played on a Friday. But that's not like a qualification for the card. That's the whole card. So there's no more instructions on it. You simply play the card on a Friday or you don't. And that type of energy. And so I really appreciate this. It's something that like the ideas just get me excited. But that's the Mad Magazine game. Yeah.
Quick random dumb on Checkers right there. So
yeah.
Good thing we have Checkers 2 designer making a game now. D made this game, Checkers 2.
Oh, yes. Checkers 2 is good.
So yeah, what now? I'm moving straight to video games.
Yeah.
This game, Seaman. Have you
yes,
played Seaman?
I've not played it, but I've
So
been
yeah,
around playing.
Seaman. Seaman is also, I think, Seaman, I think it's being set up right now, so we can see it. But it's a pet game. It's like a Tamagotchi. Should I get the controller?
Yeah.
It's like I don't know if we can start playing this right now. It's a slow game.
We are pressed on time, so
yeah.
Go for it.
So yeah, Seaman is this Dreamcast game that uses the mic on the Dreamcast. And it's about like taking care of your pet. Actually, maybe something very good might happen right now because let's see. So you take care of your pet. Oh, they're alive.
Nice.
Last time I booted this game up, I had this like sad message. It's like, I'm sadly to inform you that your Seaman is dead. And let's see. I don't remember the input here. Look at that. Hey. Hi. So yeah, this is a Seaman.
So good.
So I'm trying to like the thing about the cool thing about this game was like it's how cryptic it all is.
I think famously cryptic.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look at that. Yeah, light. So now we turn on the light. We gotta increase the heat. Go heat. Yes. So like we gotta increase the heat of the aquarium. We have our little Seaman. You can hold them. Where are they? Hey, come over.
So is the screen here representing the actual side of a fish tank?
Yeah. It's just that I'm zoomed in right now and I can't zoom out. How do I zoom out? I don't remember.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, yeah. But yeah, this game is very interesting. Like it's very cryptic. You don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
There's this little hand that you can tap around and hope that the seamen come. We like tried playing it once. We spent like 3 hours trying to get the temperature right, and we couldn't.
Yeah.
It just has a nice box. It's a nice game to look at the manual and try figuring stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I highly recommend coming, try to figure out, and take care of our seamen. It's a shared one. You can talk to them, and they speak back to you. But yeah,
Yeah. I'll collaborative C-Man. I feel like is the way to play C-Man.
yeah.
Nice.
I wanted to have a notebook that you could like write notes about the seaman.
The last of my board game selections, and one I'll hit very quickly, is just an old game called Tilt. It's essentially Sorry, and the rules of playing the game Sorry, except it is a physical board that is like built on a triangle, and your pieces are marbles. And so as you play it, if there's enough weight on one side of it, it'll tilt to one direction, and then your pieces may go way further back and like a chutes and ladders type energy on the board, or way further forwards, and you have to tilt it to even finish and score points in the game itself. It's very interesting. It's old enough where it doesn't really tilt super well, and the game, it doesn't feel that terribly fun, because there's definitely a certain like unfairness to it, I think it represents a good energy of like, especially in board games, card games, your game doesn't need to be very like perfectly good in strategy and like wonderful and amazing, but rather just like have interest to it, and then everybody else, like people will just do the rest through their own social interaction. That's Tilt.
I love the you have like games that have like specific sound to holding the box.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Yeah. My final game is this PS1 game. It's called Jumping Flash. Let me show it over here. It's a first-person platformer shooter thing for the PS1. As you know, like but not everyone. My current thesis project is a platformer, so we sometimes come here and play random platformers. And this was one that was very inspiring. Has like it's very different feel to it. And one thing that's super cool about it, every time you jump, it looks down automatically, so you can know where you're gonna land. It's just like fascinating. It's interesting to see how people solved like these design problems that are still a design problem today, and we think Mario 64 solved all of them, but like there's just different ways of doing it. And this one's it just looks cool. Look at that UI. Yeah. Like the whole like screen stuff.
Did you discover this game here? Or you
Yeah.
Wow.
We literally opened the that's the thing I do. I open the spreadsheet and be click on this game.
I look at the bookshelf for the board games, and you just scroll through the video games. Different some gamers. Wow, that's incredible. I certainly want to play that.
Yeah, you should check it out.
Perfect. My last selection here is Kirby Air Ride. Because I didn't want people to leave this stream thinking I'm terribly interesting and have very profound picks of games, but rather we're all susceptible for liking a Nintendo game. I would argue Kirby Air Ride is maybe the most interesting one. Definitely because there's an era where every company was just making a kart game, and the kart games were mostly bad, mostly clones, mostly bizarre. But Kirby Air Ride was like a really fundamental rethink of a kart game. I think in the same way that Smash is a fundamental rethink of fighting games. But both of them trying to be party games was like the goal. Kirby Air Ride just swung in a totally different direction, which is like truly your actions do not matter. Importantly here is the city trial mode, because all other modes of Kirby Air Ride are whatever. They're fun to maybe play one time and then move on to city trial. But this space where you're just building up your cart to like increase different statistics is a very deeply interesting space with a lot of secrets, both in flavor and like content. One of my favorite just tidbits that I think will inspire me for the rest of like my life is that in this city trial space, like there are just two small little dandelions that are in very hard to reach places that you can just go to and enjoy, and just be like, oh wow, in this hard to reach like random place that I had to go to free play to like hop my Kirby up to, and for this like action packed game mode, there's just like a little flower in the corner that I can just like look at and like be like, oh wow. But then also when as a kid, someone told me there's 3 flowers, There are two. I've Googled it since. But as a kid, I was like, someone's like, no, there's three. And I was like, I found two of them. What could the third flower be? And there's a very large platform in the sky that you go up to that is maybe flower shaped. And as a kid, as like I don't know, 13-year-old, I was like, maybe that's the third flower. Maybe there isn't a third dandelion heading around here, but rather the third flower is, like the game all along almost, or something like the structure of it. But Kirby Air Ride also, just for the library, my friends and I played this maybe consecutively, like every day for a year, probably, or many days out of a week for a year. And it was just rambunctious fun for an entire year straight. So
Damn.
I deeply love Kirby Air Ride.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I played it once at the library, but I should try it again. Yeah, it was fun. We played it kind of in a rush.
Okay, yeah.
But I kind of want to just sit down and enjoy it for a while. It looks pretty fun.
Yeah, it's really great. And that is my library 5.
It's my library 5.
How many games do you all have left?
I think that's it.
Is that all of them?
That's all of them, yeah.
That was on time, right? Perfect.
Sorry, I forgot to do my job. 1 second. Thank you so much. There we go. Thank you so much, Danny and Moochi, for coming back to show us your Library 5 in this brand new segment. I think that was a lot of fun. I can't wait to check out some of these games in the library, and I hope other people at home are inspired to check these out as well. All right, now it is time to welcome back our Game Jammers for the result of our micro game jam. As a reminder for the game that they had to make, the items they pulled were fake money, cloth bags, and loose playing cards. Bear with us while we set up for our last segment. All right, I believe we are ready to go. Welcome back to the stream. Shawn and Ethan are going to be playtesting the game, and Dee and Beau are going to explain their game. Take it away, y'all.
Cool, yeah. This is 10 Kisses by Dee and Beau. So each of you have been given $10, and there's a deck of cards here. They're all queens. They're either going to be the queens of hearts or queens of spades. And then you've got a bag of 10 coins, 5 pennies, and 5 nickels. So that's the setup, and then Dee's going to run through some rule stuff.
Yeah, sure. So the basic premise of this game, it's a betting game. You are going to... I really don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah, I'll do it all then. It's cool. We're gonna bet to try and see how many kisses are going to show up in the game. So the way that's going to work is that one of you is going to shuffle this deck of queens, and you're going to deal 3 out to each person, and you're looking for kissing queens, which means queens that are facing each other. Yeah, so the hearts and the spades are there. So you're going to have a hand of 3 in your hand, and you're going to play one face down that you're each going to play one face down that the other person will not know, right? And so if your queens kiss, that's 5 kisses. The other way to get kisses is that the person who did not deal is going to shuffle this bag and dump out the 10 coins in here. And if you get a heads on both a penny and a nickel, they kiss. So you're going to look for how many kisses you get there. And so the way you bet is after you play your queen face down, you're going to move your piece to the number of kisses you think are going to arrive on the board. And then after this is dumped, whoever is closest in number of kisses gets the distance that the other person is from the correct number in that person's dollars. So you're playing to keep your $10 and not lose it.
I have $11, by the way.
Oh no. I gave you an extra $1.
So we can look at these?
Yeah, you can look at your hand of 3 and then you play one face down. And then you're going to bet on how many kisses, before you flip those, you're going to bet on how many kisses are going to come.
So this is worth 5.
This is worth 5 and each of these are worth 1. And there are
have like multiple of those too, right?
Yeah, there are 5 pairs in here. So the most you can get out of here is 5, and that's worth 5 by itself. And you're just betting numerically. You're not putting money on it yet.
Okay, so, I mean, I have no idea what the strategy probabilities of these things are. But
These are worth 1.
Mm-hmm. There's 5 ones there and 5 in the queens. Cool. And then Ethan, you're gonna dump those out.
Okay, so we got 1 pair of kissers, 2 pairs.
Got 3 kisses.
Oh, man.
Shawn, flip that. You did not kiss. So the correct number was 3, which means Ethan won, and Shawn, you owe him $1, $2, $3, $4. I know, right? And then you're gonna reload, switch jobs, and play again.
These go into a discard pile, or
No, they all go back in. You
Yeah,
get
yeah.
all of your queens back every turn.
Alright, you can shuffle that. I'll shuffle these. And
Yep.
then you reshuffle them every time.
Yep, you
Yeah.
reshuffle
Yeah,
every
yeah.
time. Deal 3 out to each. Repeat.
terrible gambler. I
Oh, I've never gambled before, so.
don't like. I don't because I know I'm bad at it.
Okay. I just know it's not smart. I've been told not to. Alright. I'm gonna put down this one.
I will put down this one. Okay. Okay, then I dump these out.
Bidding first.
Oh yeah, bidding. Okay.
Do we switch who? Should I bid first? Who bids first?
Whoever wants it most.
Okay. Whoa, 8.
Yeah, I'm going
Hey.
for it.
Favorite go home.
The thing is I feel like it's like kind of scummy to just go 7 or 9, but like maybe it isn't. I feel like
No, it's not
I'm
scummy.
like 5.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
don't think they're gonna kiss.
Big bucks, no whammies. Alright, so we have 1, only 2.
2 kisses,
2.
and then
Ugh, okay. So I'm definitely.
this could be all your money if,
Yeah, this
if
is
they
it,
don't
I'm
kiss.
done.
Oh.
Kiss, yeah.
So
2 is the correct answer.
6. Oh, that was a short one.
And that is 10
3,
kisses.
4.
Wow.
Great.
All right. I'm last man standing. So wait, so do I continue now? Did Shawn just leave? Shawn just completely left stage.
That's 10 kisses.
That's fun. No, that's cool.
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up there. If you two want to take a seat
Yeah.
real quick and challenge the next competitors, that was 10 Kisses by DH and Beau, created in just about 40 minutes. Now please announce to the stream who you will be challenging to the next micro game jam.
Yeah, we are challenging.
Waleed and Sam.
All right, Waleed and Sam, you heard it here first. We will see you in 2 weeks to participate in the micro game jam. And with that, that concludes Game Center Live. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you to our hosts and guests for participating today. That was such a fun stream. Hope to see you next time, same channel. We'll see you there. Thanks very much. Take care.